or email Ben Hasbrook at AudubonCC.com for more information on how you can get involved with the Audubon Driver Academy.
And speaking of our online features, do you follow the Audubon Country Club on social media? Please like, follow, and share our content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube to help us grow the Audubon community. Well, the field is growing double file here as they're making their way down the backstretch here. Again, it's been a cloudy day. The sun's trying to come out just a little bit here. Hasn't rained so far. It rained earlier this morning. It's created some interesting track conditions, but so far hasn't really downpoured yet. As the field's going to go double file here, a pace car will pull off, and our second heat race for the SM2 class will be getting underway. It's Chris DiMuzio and Joe Miklos who make up row one in this field, and the rest of the championship contenders starting way back in row three. Green flag going to come out in the air. We are racing here, and already cars going off in the grass. Emmett Ryan at 81 spins and gets hit by the number 119 of Connor Ryan. Emmett Ryan, who went off the grass in a similar way he did on the opening lap, tried to do it again. He got loose, spun out, and got clobbered by the 119 of Connor Ryan, whose day has gone from bad to worse. We stay green for right now, but Jordan, that didn't go so good.
Emmett Ryan, has left rear damage, and he's pulling off to driver's left-hand side right next to the guardrail at the exit of turn one there. He is now out of this race with definitely left rear suspension damage. Connor Ryan has front bumper damage as well as they come through turn number 5 and 6. Yellow flags are already flaming. We are under full course yellow.
Well, we saw Emmett Ryan do that on the initial start of the last race. He dipped basically all four tires off in the grass, trying to get a lot of cars off guard and go for it. He tried to do it again. This time, it didn't go so well for him as he got clobbered by the 119.
He was 2 tires in the grass in the first race, tried to make it work, and was able to make it work because he had 2 tires on the pavement. However, this time he was all 4 tires in the grass, trying to stay on the throttle, and unfortunately just lost the handle of that number 81 Spec Miata, looped it around right in front of the field. Unfortunately, was catching up to one of his other family members of Connor Ryan. He's got front end damage, like I mentioned, and, the day for Emmett Ryan has gone from bad to worse, as he is out on lap 1.
Well, the day for Connor Ryan has gone from worse to horrible. Look at his car here. He's got the whole front bumper of it torn off. Looks like he's got some left front damage and maybe a tire rub there on the left front of that car. He may be very well done in this race as well. It's tough to say, but Emmett Ryan for sure is out of the race with a broken left rear suspension on the car.
Well, Connor Ryan right now is still under his own power, thank goodness. He had a little bit of a power issue in the first race, but is able to keep it going right now. We'll see how long he's able to keep it going, if he's able to stay on the track or if he pulls it in the pit lane. We'll see what happens. He looks like he keeps it on track right now, catching up to the rest of the field. So good to see that he's continuing to keep going. Now we'll just have to see how the performance of that car has been hindered enough to where he's able to stick with the rest of the Packers if he's going to be off the pace.
Well, as Emmett Ryan is getting picked up by the track and safety workers, it's Joe Miklos who has hanged on to the lead here in the 523, and Gavin Gleitzman from row 2 has moved into second. Chris DiMuzio, the pole sitter, has fallen back to third. So Gleitzman with a great start on this race, moving up 1 position. Chris DiMuzio in the 06 already losing 2 spots on the opening turn of the opening lap here. Jordan, as the field has now been shrunk from 12 cars to 10, it looks like, who are able to still remain competitive in today's race.
Yeah, right now, as we've seen here, as to the first lap, I would say, we've now had the field kind of shuffle around a little bit, like you said there, man. We have Joe Miklos as now the race leader. We have Gavin Gleitzman in second, Chris DiMuzio in third, Bob Grosslick fourth, Matteo Wazzari fifth, Luke Satterfield sixth, and a little bit further back, Bruce Malter seventh, Gary Traverso eighth, Alan Zocher ninth, Noel Sachs in 10th, Scott Benny Jr. 11th, and then Connor Ryan rounds out the top 12. That's how we reset the order after we got the yellow flag out.
Well, and already an interesting start here. We didn't think it would be this chaotic of a start, but chaos turns into calamity, and calamity turned into 2 cars having wrinkled fenders at the very start of this race. Before even a turn was completed in this race, really, Jordan, following the initial start.
Yeah, as we said, we got a little hectic start there, and that's what I mentioned. With the field being scattered out like this and the field also having an inversion, it all depends on how patient is the rear of the field going to be. Obviously, the rear of the field was able to kind of be a bit patient at the beginning, but everybody else was kind of trying to get on the horn to kind of do that. As we see one of our corner workers right now out on track, trying to get the track sweeping clear. So we see Emmett Ryan getting out of his car. Good to see that he is okay after that incident as well. Able to put the steering wheel back together, getting the car up on the flatbed, but as well as we're nice to see the track workers are together, getting the track swept up and getting the track cleaned up so we can go back racing.
Well, it's good to see Emmett Ryan out of his car, especially with where he got hit, because he got hit in the driver's side by his family member in the 119 of Connor Ryan there, as Connor came full steam ahead from last spot right into the driver's door. So thankfully we're able to see Emmett get out of the car and under his own power okay, as it looks like he'll be watching the remainder of this race and also the third heat race today, but it's tough to say right now.
Well, we'll see. Some of the guys, the Eurosport crew, the Advanced Autosport crew here on property is going to have to be putting in a heck of a job trying to get that car fixed up. Luckily enough, they'll have a GT race that's going to happen right in the middle of all this. That's coming up next after this SM2 race. That they'll have a little bit more time for them to be able to put the car back together. So, with that being said, we'll have to see if that car will be back together, ready to go for race 3 later on this afternoon.
And they also have the third Spec Miata heat race coming up, which will be immediately after our GT Challenge, which will be immediately after this race. As well as we have our race stream going on right now, you can stream live races from Autobahn's YouTube channel. Please like our videos and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the action, including the action that is going on here today. So we're 2 laps into this event here right now, as they're still working to get Emmett Ryan's car off the track. He is okay and out of the car. I'm not sure where he is at the moment, but he's fortunate to be okay. So Joe Miklos in the 523. Bit of unfamiliar territory for him right now, but he is leading, but he's got a hungry driver in Gavin Gleitzman, who has a fast car under him. Gleitzman finished 4th in the first heat race, and he's moved up to 2nd following his 3rd-place starting spot.
And while we also have a lull in the action as well, as like Matt said, like and subscribe to the video, go ahead and hit that share button as well and get it out to any friends, family, and all the members that you know on your social media pages. And while you're on your social media pages sharing this YouTube stream with us, go ahead and like the Autobahn Country Club on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and all other social media platforms, and help the Autobahn Country Club community and club itself grow to the public.
Well, the field here going to be growing double file here once again. They're still single file as they're trying to work Emmett Ryan's car off the grid. His car has come to rest over at the guardrail, heading into the turn 1 area. There's Emmett sitting alongside the guardrail now. Had such a great car in the first heat race, and looked like he was going to try and make a real daredevilish move to get around a couple cars there, Jordan, but it just didn't go the way he had planned, and certainly not the way others had planned.
Yeah, definitely not the way we all like to see it planned out, and especially for Emmett Ryan himself. He definitely would like to see that in a better way work itself out, but nonetheless, good learning moment for him in this case, and also a good moment for him to kind of just be able to kind of take the time to assess the damage and see what needs to be done on that car to get it ready to go for next race. But if you're also a member here at the Autobahn Country Club and you're liking what you're seeing on your screen right now, or seeing what's happening on the track, yes, that's riding behind a pace car. There is also lunchtime touring opportunities that are taking place that are already happening every day of the week. That happens out here. So if you really want to get into lunchtime touring, please go up to our clubhouse and go talk to either Amy or Ron on how to get involved with the lunchtime touring. We have different fleet cars with BMW, Cadillac, Chevrolet, Lexus, Nableton, Porsche, Westmont, and Terrapelli Ford, all part of our Autobahn Performance League partners, and it's part of our driver performance fleet car vehicle in our lunchtime touring sessions that you can have every day of the week the Autobahn is open.
And how are you able to find all that? Well, you could do that with the Autobahn app, which makes life at the club so much easier. Find track schedules, lap times, RSVP for social events, and make lunchtime touring reservations, as Jordan was just talking about, much more. With the Autobahn app, all club resources are just a click away here, as we are also it looks like we may be a lap away here, as they've managed to get Emmett Ryan's car onto the flatbed. They're going to try and get that out of the way here, as every lap so far in this race has been run under caution. We're 3 laps in to our second heat race here so far. Joe Miklos has led every one of them from the outside pole. Gavin Gleitzman running up in second, and Chris DeMuzio, our pole sitter, back to third, alongside Bob Grosselak in the 89 in fourth, as we're going to get a single file start here. It looks like it's a pace car. Are the lights off on the pace car? I couldn't tell. Nope, not off on the pace car yet. They're still working on getting Emmett's car going. It is on the flatbed. They're just trying to get it moved out of the way, as well as the remainder of our track and safety teams here off the course. Connor Ryan still out there with a wrinkled front bumper and a torn up left front fender there, Jordan.
He's going to be the trooper one of this race, as he's going to have to live with the damage that he sustained, unfortunately, in that first lap incident the rest of the race here. But nonetheless, it doesn't look like, as right now, under pace car, it's hindering the car performance. We'll have to wait until we go back green to find out if when the that performance of that car is going to be, if it's going to be hindered or not based on the damage he's received, as we've gotten word now, and we can see that the pace car lights have gone now, which means we're going to be going green this time by.
Emmett Ryan's car has moved off the track, and the field going to get a single file start here this next time by, as they're going to be bunching up, heading towards the back straightaway here, as there's the track and safety team towing Emmett's car off towards the pit lane area, followed by the red safety truck there. We'll have to see if Emmett's car is able to get fixed before the third and final heat race, which will be in just a little bit. But they got time, Jordan. I mean, they got a GT challenge coming up. We also have our third Spec Miata race coming up in just a little bit. We got tons of action going on here this afternoon for Emmett Ryan and the Eurosport team to try and get things going here. Pace lights are off the car. Joe Miklos is going to lead them back to green here in just a second, followed by the rookie Gavin Gleitzman in the 51. As we go through the remainder of the field right now, it's DiMuzio, the pole sitter, back in third, Grosslack in fourth, Matteo Azzeri, in fifth, Satterfield back in sixth, followed by Bruce Malter in seventh, Gary Traverso in eighth, Alan Zoker in ninth, Noel Sachs in 10th, Scott Benning Jr. in 11th, and Connor Ryan in the 119 back in 12th. We'll have to see how good his car is able to keep up with the damage it has sustained on the front bumper of that car.
And now, however, we do like to see the pace car in front of us with the ultra white LC500, the official pace car of Audubon and Audubon member racing here. We'd like to thank you to our friends at Lexus for the continued participation in our performance league and supplying us with this Lexus LC500 pace car. However, we like to see it a lot in front. We don't want to see it on track anymore. And we're hoping to leave the track surface so that we can get back to racing, which we are hoping to right now, as the pace car has now started to pull away from the field as they now make our way to turns 11 and 12. Field starts to bunch up. Joe Mikolos now has them at hand as we get ready for the restart.
The first third of this race has mainly been run under caution. Let's see some green flag action here. Pace car pulls off into pit load. Joe Miklos, Gavin Gleitzman, and Chris DiMuzio, that's the top three right now. Behind them is Grosslack, Azzeri, and Satterfield, as we are back under racing here in our second heat race. And already some jockeying. Azzeri goes to the outside. Now Gleitzman looks to the inside of Miklos for the race lead. 3 wide for third between Grosslack, Azzeri, and DiMuzio, and Azzeri with the advantage. DiMuzio goes off the track. His day gets bad for Morris, and Miklos hangs on to the race lead right now over Gleitzman. But here comes Matteo Azzeri and Bob Grosslack, followed by Luke Satterfield in 13 after pushing Chris DiMuzio wide into turns 1 and 2.
As we got Bob Grosslack, who holds the advantage on the outside of Matteo Azzeri. Grosslack will now hold the third spot. Azzeri slots in the fourth, Satterfield in fifth. But it's Joe Miklos holding the advantage away from Gavin Gleitzman as they go through turn number 5 and now through 6. Grosslack is kind of hanging on to the balance of Gavin Gleitzman, now all over the back bumper of that orange number 51.
Here we go. Top 4 are nose to tail under Blake, and now Grosslack looks to the inside of Gleitzman. It's the veteran versus the rookie here as Gleitzman pulls a look to the inside of Miklos, trying to get around him right now. If I'm Gavin Gleitzman, you got to get around Joe Miklos in that 523 because Bob Grosslack, Matteo Azzeri, and Luke Satterfield are coming. They are hungry for that race lead right now, trying to get around them. Here we go down the backstretch. It looks like Gleitzman going to have a look down the inside. It looks like Miklos pulls high. We'll see what happens going to the braking zone. Grosslack all over the back, and Gavin Gleitzman with the inside momentum. We'll see what happens here. They're side-by-side contact. Miklos pushes Gleitzman up, and Miklos hangs onto the race lead as Grosslack goes to the outside of Gleitzman, pushing him back for third. Now Azzeri goes wide, contact maybe with Gleitzman as Satterfield closes in on him for the 4th spot. So Bob Grosslack moving into second over Gavin Gleitzman.
It is elbows out racing here in the SM2 field, as that was a little bit of a shoulder from Joe Miklos coming through 12. And then Gavin Gleitzman gave a little bit of a shoulder to Arturo Azzeri as Miklos trying to go a little wide there. Grosslack around the outside through turn number 3. Give the lead to give Bob Grosslack. He goes to the point. Gavin Gleitzman now on the inside of Joe Miklos. He'll take second spot going into turn 4.
Well, Joe Miklos rubbed Gavin Gleitzman up high and out of the way in that last turn. And now Miklos goes off the track. He loses fourth, now third, now fourth to Satterfield. Him and Satterfield go side by side. Miklos hangs on to that fourth spot, but his car looks very off in terms of the handling, Jordan. He's been slip-sliding around a couple times now. Miklos loose going out of that turn. Satterfield pulls the outside. He's going to have the advantage on the outside momentum, and he'll take the fourth spot away from Joe Miklos, trying to get back up to Matteo Azzari and the top three right now. Here's another battle going on towards the back. It's Alan Zoker in the one. Looks like he may be trying to take a peek on, looks like he gets around the 72 of Gary Traverso, actually. So that is a battle for 8th overall on the track as Grosslack leads, but Gavin Gleitzman all over the back bumper of him right now as Matteo Azzari following in suit for the top three positions right now. And Luke Satterfield, he's going to be a man on a mission here trying to get caught back up to the top three right now to get himself in a podium position.
Matteo Azzari is now over the back bumper of Gavin Gleitzman as well. So Gavin Gleitzman, the rookie, has potentially the championship leader right behind him. Matteo Azzari trying to go for his second win of the day, running in the third spot right now. He's in pretty good prime points position for the Triple Crown event that we have here today. However, he wants more. He wants to go for that number one spot so that way he can have the least amount of points possible.
Well, here comes Gleitzman again. He's got to try and get around the 89 of Bob Grosslack. As Grosslack has set sail right now. Gleitzman wants it, though. It has been veteran versus rookie so far in this race here today, as the veteran has pretty much maintained the advantage over the rookie so far, but we'll see what happens here as Gleitzman puts a bit of distance between himself and Azzari for a second right now, sets its sights on Grosslack in that gray number 89. Gleitzman in the 51 trying to go to work here. That is the car number that he runs on the junior kart class at the kart track, but it's a different color. He normally runs a patriotic scheme. This time around, he's running an orange car, very reminiscent, it looks like, of Tony Stewart's car, as Azzari pulls the inside of Gleitzman for a second. Advantage Matteo Azzari, but Gleitzman hanging tough on the outside right now, but it's not going to matter too much as Azzari goes back to the second position here, setting his sights on Bob Grosslack for the race lead.
Well, for those of you who've been around the Autobahn way too long enough to know who the name Gleitzman here in the Spec Miata series, it goes back to his dad of Jamie Gleitzman. Jamie Gleitzman has been able to has been a long-time member here at the Autobahn Country Club and has been really well-rounded here in the Spec Miata series, a two-time champion. He is the dad of Gavin Gleitzman, has been showing him a bunch of all the tips and tricks on how to get around this place in the Spec Miata. So a little bit of father teaches son moments here, but I'm sure Jamie Gleitzman around here has been being a very proud dad right now, seeing Gavin Gleitzman driving in the third spot here at the Autobahn Country Club in race number 2.
Well, Gavin Gleitzman is in prime position for a podium spot right now. He just needs to hang on here as we have 5 laps to go in what has been a hectic SM2 second heat race so far. So Grosslack leading, Matteo Azzari in second, Gleitzman third, Luke Satterfield ran the quickest lap the last time by with a 1 minute 40.220. He's back in fourth. It's Joe Miklos still hanging on in fifth, Chris DiMuzio, the pole sitter, sliding to sixth, Alan Zoker in seventh, Bruce Malter eighth, Connor Ryan maintaining very well with the damaged race car up to ninth ahead of Gary Traverso, Noel Sachs, and Scott Benning. There's the rest of the field going by as we have our 12 cars remaining in what was a 13-car field at the start of this race. And we can see off in the distance, it looks like a battle for the lead heating up as Matteo Azzari catching up to the back bumper of Bob Grosslack. Here we go, heading down the back straightaway. Matteo has been on the charge so far, started sixth, maintained a great advantage, and here comes Alan Zoker outbraking Chris DiMuzio into the turn 6 area. He will take that spot away. Alan Zoker, give him another attaboy for picking up another position, and Luke Satterfield catching up to the top 3 right now. Satterfield, man on a mission, trying to get back to a podium position.
It's also good to see that Connor Ryan, his car has not been hindering him enough to where he needs to pull out the track. He's actually been able to stay on the racetrack and it's not hindering his performance. However, back up front, we have Bob Grosslack, who continues to lead the way. Matteo Azzari has moved up to second, and Gavin Gleitzman in third, but don't count out Luke Satterfield, who just turned the fastest lap of the race, the last lap. He is now catching up to this 3-car pack and wants a piece of this lead and wants a piece of this front pack.
Well, the last time it was Satterfield again, fastest lap with a 1 minute 40.122. He is gaining up on these top 3 here very quickly, as it looks like Gleitzman ran a quicker lap than our leaders, Grosslack and Azzari. So you can imagine the leaders, the air quality is sort of disrupting their ability to get away from third and fourth place here, and it's allowing Gleitzman and Satterfield to gain up to them just a little bit here, Jordan, as this race is still continuing to heat up. It's far from over as we are 2/3 distance through the second heat race.
We have 4 laps to go in this race, but there is still plenty of time for anything to happen, as the top 4 have strung away from about almost 7 seconds to Joe Mikolos in the 5th spot. Alan Zoker sits in the 6th spot right behind him. He's closed the gap on him a little bit, as he has now been a half a second to 0.6 of a second faster after each lap. Also further back, we see Connor Ryan going to the inside, trying to go to the inside of Bruce Malter there. That's a little bit further back for the 8th spot here as they go into turn number 8. He takes a peek to the inside, thinks better of it, will sink back in line. However, further back, Noel Sachs looks to the inside of Gary Traverso, doesn't make anything work of it. He falls back in line. Traverso holds on to the spot.
Well, I got to give credit to Connor Ryan in that 319. There's a battle going on here. Azari looks to the inside of Grosslek. We'll see what happens there. Here we go, and Azari pulls to the outside. Oh, spinning! He slides! He saves it! What a save for Matteo Azari, but he falls back to 4th. Satterfield moving up to 2nd on Gleisman. Chaos here up towards the front of the pack as Grosslek maintains the lead after Matteo Azari slip sliding over into the braking zone.
Luke Satterfield will say, thank you very much, boys. I'll take those 2 spots. Go from 4th up to 2nd. Now he's falling under pressure from Gavin Gleitzman, who throws onto the defensive mood. Satterfield will hold the 2nd spot. He can now shift his focus up to Bob Grosslek in the lead. And just like that, this whole Triple Crown heat race format has blown wide open with the mistake from Matteo Azari.
Well, Luke Satterfield saw that, and he took a 2-for-1 special right there on Matteo Azari and Gavin Gleitzman as he moves into 2nd, trying to get around the 89 of Bob Grosslek. Grosslek has just had everything happening around him today so far. There's been wrecks happening around him. There's been car slip sliding around him, but he's just maintained the lead right now, trying to hold off Luke Satterfield again, as Satterfield has had the fastest car so far in this heat race here. But we're not sure. Matteo Azari still, he hasn't lost too much ground here as we have a battle, looks like going on for 5th. Alan Zoker catching up to the back of Joe Miklos. He gets the inside of him. It looks like he'll have the preferred line. And Alan Zoker going to move back into the top 5. He had a good race in the first heat race before he got taken out by the 81 of Emmett Ryan. And Alan Zoker charging his way back up towards the front of the field.
If Matteo Azari can get back up to this lead pack with about 3 laps to go, it's coming to 2, if he can get by Gavin Gleitzman, that's going to make these top 3 of Bob Grosslek, Luke Satterfield, and Matteo Azari even points going into the last race, which means they're going to have a straight-up fight going into heat race number 3. We'll see what happens as we are coming to 2 laps to go as Bob Grosslek comes around the final corner, being chased down by Luke Satterfield and Gavin Gleitzman still on his tail.
Looks like Grosslek pulled away just a little bit there from Satterfield right now as Gleitzman had a peek to the outside, and it was Matteo who ran the quickest lap despite going off. He ran a 1:39.937, about almost a full second faster than our top 3. So Matteo Azari pulling up, just trying to make up some of that lost time. And we actually did see that between Mark Sadalski and Bob Grosslek in a race here a couple months ago, Jordan. It was a battle between them all race long. Sadalski got off the track. He lost a lot of time to Grosslek, and in just a matter of laps, just a matter of a couple laps, it was Sadalski who got back around Grosslek and stole the victory away from him. Could we see that from Matteo Azari here as he's trying to get back up to our race leaders?
We are 2 laps to go right now. Luke Satterfield looks like he ran a little wide there at the exit of turn 6, gave potentially advantage to Gavin Gleitzman. However, Matteo Azari has put his head down, has put the helmet on and visor down, and he is coming after the top leaders here. It is Grosslek, Satterfield, Gleitzman, and Azari as they go through turn number 9 into turn number 10.
Well, Gleitzman's had a couple looks on Satterfield for second, trying to get around him. He's able to hang with him, but he's not able to find a way around him, much like Matt Alexander was with Matt Keck. Here he goes looking the outside. Matteo going to follow him. Now Matteo cuts back the inside. Crossover move here potentially coming, and Matteo Azari gets back one of those positions that he lost after going off the track just a couple laps ago. So Matteo Azari moves back to 3rd, but Bob Grosslek trying to set sail here over Luke Satterfield, Gavin Gleitzman, and Matteo Azari as he'll see the white flag waving in the air this time by. White flag out in this second heat race here for our SM2 class, and Azari caught back up to the back of second place. Luke Satterfield trying to look for a way around him.
Grosselec going to try to do all he can to hold off the fighting battle between Satterfield and Azari that's happening behind him. If the field was to finish the way it was right now, the top three would be tied on points and have a straight-up fight for race number 3 to who wins the day in terms of the championship point standings. However, all three of them lockstep formation. Grosselec, Satterfield, Azari, still the top three right in lockstep.
Well, here we go. This is going to be a fight to the finish. The top 4 cars still under a blanket as Gavin Gleitzman has not gone away. Matteo Azari is all over the back of Luke Satterfield trying to get back up to the second spot here, trying to gain as much track position as he lost in the braking zone. They're going to have another look on Bob Grosselec here going down the back straightaway here. Grosselec has maintained a sizable advantage. We'll see what Matteo Azari could do here with second place Luke Satterfield. Not sure if they can catch up to the 89 of Grosselec here. As we go on board with our drone, our aerial footage here, they go down the back straightaway. Satterfield pulls ahead a little bit of Azari. Can he get a run on Grosselec? Looks like he may not be able to have enough. Grosselec too far ahead right now. We'll see what happens here in the braking zone. And it's Azari pulls the outside of Satterfield for second, but Satterfield with the inside momentum takes the spot back, and that's all Grosselec needs to see. Now Azari goes back to the inside. Satterfield cuts him off. Here we go. It's going to be a dogfight for second. Azari goes side by side with Satterfield. It is Grosselec who wins, and Azari back up to second. What a comeback for Matteo Azari after going wide in the braking zone. It is Grosselec who wins. Azari second, Satterfield third, Gavin Gleitzman fourth, Alan Zoker fifth, Joe Miklo sixth, Chris DiMuzio seventh, Bruce Malter eighth, and it looks like Gary Traverso ninth, followed by Noel Saxon the 10th, rounding out the top 10. Connor Ryan and Scott Benning Jr. round out the remainder of this field here. Wow, what a finish in our second SM2 heat race, Jordan.
Absolutely. We've had a plethora of good racing today, and what a move by Matteo Azari not to give up there. One shot to the inside, came back across with the crossover move and just hung the momentum on the outside, crossed over into turn 13 and used the inside run, the shorter distance of the racetrack and the power of the Spec Miata to pull his way right past Luke Satterfield as that's our top 10 with Bob Grosselec in the win. Matteo Azari then comes home in second, was able to beat out Luke Satterfield by just over a tenth of a second for the second spot. Luke Satterfield comes home third, Gavin Gleitzman in fourth, Alan Zoker comes home in fifth, Joe Miklos comes in sixth, Chris DiMuzio seventh, Bruce Malter at eighth, Gary Traverso in ninth, and then Noel Sachs rounds out the top 10.
Well, this was an intense SM2 heat race. We saw carnage on the opening lap, followed by a lot of jockeying for position for the race lead. Bob Grosselec wins. He will start on pole for our third and final SM2 heat race, but Matteo Azari, getting a big nod, after going off track and nearly spinning the car out, was able to claw his way back up to second, edging Luke Satterfield at the line by maybe a quarter of a car length there. So the remainder of the field going to pull off into the pit lane here